Welcome to the weekly conversations with Ashok Malik. This week we're going to discuss about Afzal Guru's hanging and then Justice Katju's letter on Narendra Modi. Ashok, let's begin with Afzal Guru. You wrote in Pioneer about why you think Afzal Guru shouldn't been hanged, and you spoke about a gesture towards Kashmir and trying to normalize the situations there. Could you sort of give us a brief about why you think he shouldn't have?
Well, there are two, three cases, sort of issues here. My own views on capital punishment have evolved over the years. I must confess I did not hold these views, say, 10 years ago, when I had a much more black and white assessment of capital punishment. But I do feel in India we sometimes lose sight of what really is rarest of the rare. In some cases, capital punishment is unavoidable. I'm not an abolitionist in that sense. But in several cases, a complete life term in prison, that's being in prison for the rest of your life, would suffice. In the case of Afzal Guru, I think that would have been enough. Second, and this is not just unique to Afzal, I think the way the Indian state and the Indian system treats the death sentence, the sheer casualness with which we treat it, is abhorrent and almost immoral. If you look at forget Afzal, he's a high profile case, he's a polarizing case. Look at the four apprentices of Veerappan who are due to be hanged shortly. Their crime was committed in '93. They were sentenced to death, 10 years later. It's been 20 years since their crime. It's been 9 years since 2004 when they put forward their mercy petition. In 9 years, you can't make up your mind. This is completely ridiculous.
But does...
and in the case of Afzal Guru, it was 6 years.
Yeah. So does executions like Afzal Guru's become tool, a political tool?
In the case of Afzal Guru, it did become a political tool, which is what I objected to, because the Congress decided that at a particular juncture, with the economy in a mess, with bad news coming, let's divert attention by hanging him. That is the perception a lot of people have. In the case of the Veerappan apprentices or henchmen or whatever you want to call them, it's probably not political, but it's probably the result of previous presidents not having taken a decision. Abdul Kalam did not take a decision, apart from one hanging, I understand, that of the man who raped and killed a young girl in Calcutta. And Pratibha Patil did not act at all. So you have a huge backlog. Now someone has to treat this backlog. You can't have 15 hangings in a year. That's ridiculous. You have to make an assessment of how you shorten that period. You can't have mercy petitions just staying in abeyance for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It's ridiculous.
So what you're saying is that it is really incorrect to call Pranab Mukherjee a hangman president, as some in the press are suggesting?
Both the central government and the state government, to which every mercy petition is forwarded, they've taken their time coming back with an assessment. And even after a mercy petition is rejected, to act on that rejection and to actually hang the person is, let's face it, a political call. In the case of a person from Punjab, whether you hold him guilty of or deserving the death sentence or otherwise, because there's pressure from parties in Punjab, you don't hang him. In the case of Guru, you feel it's politically expedient to hang him, so you do hang him. I find the system very disturbing and subjective. In the case of Afzal Guru, again in particular, I think it is an opportunity lost. But not just by saying, okay, we are commuting his sentence, we're not hanging him. That alone is not gesture enough. A certain process had begun in 2000 when Vajpayee, in a very enlightened decision as Prime Minister, called for a unilateral ceasefire and said, I would speak to, I still remember his phrase on television, I would speak to every stakeholder in Kashmir. Someone asked him within the realms of the constitution. He said within the realms of insaniyat, of humanity. And I think it was a game changer. That led to an election in 2002, which was till then the freest election Kashmir had had, Jammu and Kashmir had had. It led to early 2004, where the Hurriyat was talking to Advani, the Deputy Prime Minister. It was a very substantial legacy to build upon. I don't think the UPA government has built upon it, because the Congress instinctively is not comfortable with that sort of approach to Kashmir. It still treats Kashmir the way it has for the past 50 years, that let's play local elites off against each other, and let's use a carrot here, a stick there. And somehow, without justifying every act of the separatists in Kashmir, I don't justify their violence at all. I think some of them are religious extremists and fundamentalists and even terrorists. But we have to acknowledge there is stuff we from Delhi or the Indian state have also done which has been wrong, and which we need to sort of address, and which can be addressed. There is a strong domestic aspect to our Kashmir problem. It's not just an international problem. And while we should focus on the international problem and talk to Pakistan in the broader term, there are issues we have to sort out on our own inside here. And we do have to expand the ambit of political participation in Kashmir from just the National Conference and the BJP and maybe the Panthers Party, and we moved towards the PDP, which was seen as a little more, well, right-wing, if that is the question in Kashmir, or a little more separatist-friendly or whatever. We need to get into a situation where people from the Hurriyat participate in politics, and so on and so forth. We need to expand that space. That space actually existed in the 80s, if you remember. In 86 we had an election where a lot of the people who became separatist leaders later were prevented from contesting an election. We have to go back to that. And if there is that broader process, which I thought began in 2000 or 2002, that had continued over a 5, 6, 7 year period across governments, then perhaps commuting the sentence of Afzal Guru could have been a lever in our hands. So my article was in that context. You can't suddenly say we are commuting Afzal Guru's sentence and expect things to settle down. It has to be part of a broader package and a broader philosophy, which I'm afraid the UPA government, and more than that the Congress as a party, have historically lacked vis-a-vis Kashmir.
You mentioned about Vajpayee's step in trying to normalize situation in the valley, but it was BJP who was the most vocal when it came to Afzal Guru's hanging, demanding for Afzal Guru's hanging. Not
just the BJP, but the manner in which people have gone around demanding hang Afzal Guru, including the media, has been very disturbing. I mean, whatever it is, we are not a bloodthirsty country which goes around saying hang somebody. If Afzal Guru deserves to be hanged, please hang him. But this bloodthirst is I do not welcome it, irrespective of the party. But frankly, the Congress has played the same game, by equally cynical a game, by not just hanging him, but not even informing his family. So I don't think all in all it has served India in the valley. I'm not suggesting India causes all the problems in the valley, not at all. There are people out there who are causing problems, there are people from Pakistan who are causing problems. But to the degree we can sort out problems that we cause, I think we should recognize that.
And there has been non-stop curfew. I mean, there was, I think, a short gap.
Well, it's not helping. It's not helping. Atmospherics is not helping. You win hearts is not helping anyway. And any government which hanged Afzal Guru, and especially in the manner in which it did, you should have seen that coming.
Let's move to Justice Katju's article on Narendra Modi. Do you think he crossed the line as somebody who holds as the chairman of the Press Trust of India, Public Press Council of India?
I think he did. I mean, he holds a public position. He holds a quasi-judicial position. He is a former judge of the Supreme Court. He's not a private citizen. He lives in, he holds a public-funded office, lives in a public-funded house, works in a public-funded chamber. He needs to be a little more careful about what he says. He has opinions on everything, from giving Mirza Ghalib a Bharat Ratna to how 90% of Indians are fools. Now, I don't agree with either of those suggestions, but that's his personal view. But when you pick and choose public leaders and politicians and elected governments to attack, make sure of your facts. He can't say, irrespective of what the judges say, I believe Modi is guilty. Now, you and I may be able to say that as private citizens. He's a person in public office. Either come up with evidence or keep quiet. After all these years, when it is fairly apparent that there was a bunch of extremists who happened to be Muslim extremists who burnt down the Godhra train. And that doesn't justify any violence after that, not at all. But that is how the train compartment S1 or S2 was burnt down of the Sabarmati Express. After that, for him to say that I have no idea about why Godhra happened, I think this is more a political article than a political polemic rather than a reasoned article. And that is what has disappointed a lot of people with Mr. Katju's serial pronouncements ever since he became press council chief.
And Modi is not the first person. I think before this he spoke on Mamta Banerjee.
He spoke on Mamta, he spoke on Nitish Kumar. He's just making random statements one after the other.
It almost seems like this elderly grandfather sort of character in a family who's passing comments on
somebody put it, he thinks he's the ombudsman of India. I mean, there is a certain limit to which all of us speak within limits as private citizens and as public people even more so. So he should be a little more careful of what he says and how he puts it. And also he is press council chairman, but he's seen more in the press, writing articles and issuing statements on things that have nothing to do with the press, and which are just his stray thoughts on the rest of the world. We really wonder, is he using his office as press council chairman to promote himself or to promote free media? And I feel sad saying this about a former Supreme Court judge, but I'm afraid this has struck a lot of people. No, it's not his job to issue certificates and say so-and-so is a good Prime Minister, so-and-so is a bad Prime Minister, so-and-so is a good candidate, so-and-so is a bad candidate. That's not his job. His job is something else and he should do it.
As 2014 general elections approach, do you think more people will start taking positions like Katju has?
Mr. Modi is a polarizing figure in some respects. There are a lot of people who like him, there are a lot of people who dislike him. And as he comes to center stage in the run-up to 2014 as is expected, there will be people writing in support of him, there will be people attacking him. That is perfectly fine. A person in a public position, not a retired person, in a public position should be a little more careful of how he puts it. B, for anybody, public or private, to say, irrespective of what the courts say, I hold Mr. Modi personally guilty of the riots.
That too he's a former judge.
That is a bit, you can hold Mr. Modi politically guilty of the riots because he was chief minister at that point and in a sense you are responsible. Yes.
Congress has jumped into the fray, I mean, sort of quoting from him, perhaps tomorrow then. Justice Katju must come out with another article against Congress.
Well, he is getting himself into trouble with that because the Congress is within its rights to jump on and attack Modi. That's the Congress, any party would do that. But if Mr. Katju is only going to end up giving points to various political parties to attack each other without going into Congress or BJP, then he must ask himself, does he want his words and his wisdom, such as it is, to be so used by political parties? Does he want to become a plaything in the hands of one party or the other? It doesn't matter. Because it's not as if tomorrow if he attacks Rahul Gandhi and the BJP uses that to attack the Congress, all is well and he's made up for it and he's neutral. His job is not to attack either in a manner that is unfair. So,
true. Let's conclude the conversation by talking about Mayawati's latest desire to reach Red Fort. I mean, do you think that next election, we saw a lot of complaints about the present government in Uttar Pradesh. Akhilesh Yadav hasn't been delivering. We ourselves did a cover on a story on him. Do you expect Mayawati to do better in 2014 and perhaps be one of the key players?
Well, UP is up for grabs. It's obvious that the Congress has slipped vis-a-vis 2009 when the Congress won 21 seats, I think, out of 80. The SP is slipping because it's run a very disappointing government. Mayawati thinks she could gain seats. Now, we don't know how many she could gain. It's likely she may finish on top, but whether that top means 30 seats, 40 seats, I mean, nobody really knows. It's impossible to predict. And there's the BJP as well, which thinks it can gain. But yes, if Mayawati emerges with a strong chunk of seats and is one of the largest, or perhaps the largest non-Congress, non-BJP party, it would be really between her and maybe Mamta Banerjee in Bengal and Jayalalitha in
You're actually saying Mamata Banerjee as well? Could be?
No, not as Prime Minister. I'm saying the Trinamool Congress
as a key player.
Could be a key player, will be a key player. Because if you look at the Congress and the BJP will finish 1 and 2 in either order. But which is going to be the third largest party? Could be the BSP, could be the AIDMK, could be the Trinamool Congress. It's really between these parties. And
all three women.
All three women. All three would want a say in Delhi. All three don't want to become Prime Minister, I expect. I don't think Mamata Banerjee does. But Mayawati, if she says she wants to make it, and well, why not? And the other thing is she made that speech in Nagpur. Now, Nagpur and Maharashtra have a very strong tradition of Dalit politics, going back to the Republican Party and Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Mayawati has been trying to break in without much success, to be fair. But maybe she's pushing harder and saying, look, you can maybe see me as Prime Minister, so I want seats from here as well. Because the two sort of breakthrough states for Mayawati could be Punjab and, for the BSP, could be Punjab and Maharashtra.
In Punjab, actually, I think BSP was established and started in Punjab?
Because Kanshi Ram was a Punjabi. So, Punjab, Maharashtra, to a smaller degree they matter in Uttarakhand and Delhi, but these are small states. These are the two states, Punjab and Maharashtra, where they could actually win seats in the future. So, apart from UP, of course. So, and that would give her a larger national base. Whether she becomes Prime Minister or not is difficult to say. Other political parties still don't trust her enough as an individual.
True.
But
that's the question I wanted to ask you. I mean, would she be one of those person who can bring people along? Because when it comes to coalition politics, one thinks of people like Vajpayee Basra, of course, had a major chance.
No, let's presume the BJP and the Congress are not in a position to form a government. Because that's when you go to the state satraps. Now, obviously, Mulayam would oppose Mayawati tooth and nail, but it looks difficult at the moment.
But between Mulayam and Mayawati, whom would, let's say, Congress prefer?
Well, so far they've played ball with both. But Mulayam has been, in that sense, a more transactional ally. Mayawati less so. But it really is difficult to say.
Would BJP prefer Mayawati?
Yes, because of Mulayam's strong Muslim vote, he can't come with the BJP or the other way around. While Mayawati has less of a problem in that sense. But the BJP is tied up with Mayawati twice and suffered both occasions. So she's a difficult person to partner. But as an ambition and as an idea, a Dalit Prime Minister, it's a noble one. And we should all look forward to a Dalit Prime Minister, not necessarily Mayawati as Prime Minister.
Thanks a lot for speaking to us, Ashok. Catch you next week.